Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Cfctalk podcast, back with a new season 3 of this podcast. And, we had to start it off quite well, and we have to bring one of our biggest guests on the podcast so far, Miz, from the other side of the coin. Welcome to the podcast, Miz. How are you doing? How's everything in the summer? How's summer so far? Through 2 days into the transfer window.
Yeah, man. Happy days. Transfer windows opened up. Now, man, really happy to be here. I know we've sort of interacted previously as well. I've been meaning to come to your podcast, and here we are. Just like Fabrizio Romano, here we go. We've made it. Looking forward to all the conversations. Hopefully, we can do some madness in this summer. Obviously, the window's just opened up. So, yeah, let's have a good conversation, man.
I think even before we get into our transfer targets or the current squad at the moment, I just want to know, what are your thoughts about all of those newses that have been coming up in the last few weeks of our interest in, going from targeting Kounde, and then going, we're selling Lukaku, and then we're going to get Gabriel Jesus, and there's also talk about maybe Richarlison's in there. There's so many targets, Matthias de Ligt as well from Juventus. It just seems like at the moment we're just interested FC, and there's not a lot of actions going on because there's not a single tweet about a bid being sent out. I've left out Dembele as well. But your quick thoughts on that before we get into the current squad.
Yeah, look, this is a funny situation in the fan base where, we're interested FC this week, monitoring FC next week, considering FC the other week, targeting FC. Look, all I have to say that business will be done. Bottom line, we need players. We've got many players that are going to leave. We need many players that probably need to leave as well, who have not done well, and we need to freshen things up. So there will be business done. Thomas Tuchel deserves to be backed as well properly. 1.5 seasons that he's been around. He's so far just been able to bring in Lukaku and Saul, and we know how those two have turned out. So now it's time to get serious. I know we banter around every now and then, but I think the business will be done. I just hope and pray that the business is done before pre-season and we have these people come in so Thomas Tuchel can have a proper pre-season with these guys, as opposed to starting the season and then some of these players coming in late. We've seen what happened last season with players like Saul and Lukaku coming in late. So very important we get this done. So look, my only advice to the Chelsea fans, and an advice for myself, is stay patient. Business will be done, I think.
I think you're right. This year, the transfer window is a little different because I think the Premier League season starts before even the transfer window closes. And then
well before. I think there's still like 2 to 3 weeks after.
Yeah, and then in addition to that, I think because of the World Cup, a lot of these players would want to make their moves quite early, settle into the club, prepare themselves mentally, because, August all the way till November, until team selection is announced and teams are announced, every player's focus is not just, performing to the top level, but also performing into the top level where they can be selected for the national teams, in teams such as England and France, where there's a lot of competition, Germany as well. So it's those big games where you really need to perform. So let's dive straight in. And with most of the news being surrounded on our front three, Lukaku going out, Dembele coming in, Lautaro Martinez maybe coming in, Inter are planning something with that. I want to discuss Callum Hudson-Odoi. I made a video about him and posted a few days ago, which you guys can check out as well. But your thoughts on Callum Hudson-Odoi? I know he did have an injury, but do we loan him out? We need to remember he's only 21. It's his 5th season in the Chelsea first team. Should we loan him out if we're not going to guarantee him minutes, knowing that, Dembele is going to come and we've only got 2, positions where he fits in?
Yeah, you know what, Mohammed, this is I don't know how I feel about this particular player. And the way I want to go about it is I want to speak from the heart. Like, I don't want to overthink about it too much. And some people may not like this, some people may like this, but it's coming from my heart. I think this player has got ability. He's got some astute abilities. He's a talented player, but for some reason, it hasn't been unlocked for whether it's the way we play. He's been thrown around in the wing backs, and of course, the injuries have hampered him a lot. And now this season, I think it was from around February if I'm right, he hasn't played, Mohammed. Like since February till the end of the season, he didn't play because he's been injured. So that's another monumental injury that he's got, and I think it's the flare up from that Achilles injury that he first had. I just feel like we've seen moments, Spurs. Do you know what I mean? Like we've seen some like little bits and pieces where he's been great, but we've not seen the consistency. We've not really seen him absolutely take off and develop. Now, whether some people may say, but Miz, he hasn't had consistent time in the team. He's been playing as a right wing back sometimes. It's not really always played his position. I just feel like this guy, he may just need to move out of Chelsea and just have a stress-less season somewhere in Bundesliga where he can really showcase his talent. There is a lot of space. The one thing that I want him to do is become like really take on player 1v1. I want him to, as a winger, one of the things that the reason why we're linked with Dembele is he's electric. He will take players on and he will hustle the opposition defenders. He will make them panic. This is what I want to see from Callum Hudson-Odoi. As a youngster, he was doing that before he got injured. So, my man, to cut the long story short, I suppose, I don't want him to be sold as yet. And I don't think Chelsea are thinking about selling him. I think a loan move will be perfect for him. I just can't picture next season if he sticks around at Chelsea, he ain't going to be the main man. Like he needs minutes. So from that perspective, loan would be perfect.
That is exactly my concern, because if I look at the timeline from August all the way to February until he actually got injured and he officially wasn't playing because he was injured rather than Tuchel putting him out of the squad or giving other players a chance. He's played significantly less amount of games compared to, as in someone like, Pulisic, someone like Ziyech, someone like Werner, who are playing in similar positions. And then Tuchel trying him out at right wing back as well. Fair enough, because we've been unlucky in those positions with James being injured at times and some of our defenders being injured and having to play people out of position. With Callum, I think because there's not a lot of time that's guaranteed and he's so young, we can afford to loan him out. And would you say which team or which league would be the best suitable for him to be loaned out and to gain that experience? Someone like like players like Gallagher have done, Gilmore have done, and they've done quite well in their respective clubs. Gallagher being the PFA young player nominated. Of course, he didn't win, but he was nominated as the young player of the season, which is a big feat at Crystal Palace.
Look, man, it's a good point. I haven't really thought about the Premier League if that loan is going to be suitable for him. I think he just needs that limelight away from England. I think he just needs to get away from here. That's what I'm starting to think, Bundesliga, as I've mentioned previously as well. Any team, if I'm being honest, Borussia Dortmund, Red Bull Leipzig, Mönchengladbach, Bayer Leverkusen, like any of those teams, he just to take the focus away so that people don't worry and write articles and scrutinize him. Go out there, enjoy your football and just be free, man. And you know what? We keep talking about he's young. He is young, but I think he's turning 22 at the end of this year. So, he's getting into the trap. I remember this with Theo Walcott. He's young. He's going to burst into the scene very, very soon. And before you knew it, Theo Walcott was like 31, 32. And people just realized that, wow, his career just went by. He could have been something incredible. Similarly with Callum Hudson-Odoi, we may say that he's young and whatnot. Sure, he is still. But time flies, man. He needs to do the right thing for his career. He needs to do the right thing for himself. I think best option, Bundesliga, where they do play a lot more attacking football. And I think that's where he needs to start improving. Yeah, he can put in those key crosses every now and then. He's a creative winger, which is fantastic, much like Dembele. But you need him to create more and more and more. And as I said, find that burst of pace again. The thing that was really doing for him earlier on in his career, find that rhythm again. And really go out there and absolutely annihilate the Bundesliga. Put out some stats. Like I want to see him get 15, 20 assists, do you know what I mean? And then come back to Chelsea with that high confidence and demand a position. So that would be the ideal scenario for me.
I think if I had to just add in one thing on your statement would be just to say, if he goes out to the Bundesliga and if he goes out of the limelight of the Premier League and he gains that confidence, I think it's a similar situation with Pulisic being so good in after that COVID, outbreak that we saw. And then those injuries hit and we never saw that Pulisic again. We never saw the same one. And it's either because this injuries held him back and it's kind of, given him a loss in confidence, which he just needs to gain. He just needs, to get some minutes under his belt, even if he's not performing, still, start the next game, get his confidence up and slowly build up to that level. The other two players, which might cause, I say might with a lot of, unpredictability, because you never know what's going to happen in a year or so. But in 2024, Jorginho, Kante, both will be out of the contract. Not a lot of news or not a lot of talks about, contract renegotiations or, what this new era brings into the club. Because from what I can tell, if you're above 30 and if it's still the Roman era, you're only getting a year on your contract. And is it really worth it to give Kante and Jorginho a new contract, knowing Kante is at a time of his career where he's playing about 50% of Chelsea's game. He's played about 50% of Chelsea's game last season. The season before that as well, it might have been a little above 50%, but it's not a significant number, which, he can make a change in the season and bring those performances that he was doing from 2016 all the way up to, I guess, the Champions League season that we've seen. We won the Champions League in.
Look, man, this is another touchy topic, isn't it? Kante, Jorginho.
I'm putting you on the spot.
No one wants to talk about it because, there's people that think, they need to be gone and you're going to get abused. And there's people that think they need to stay and he's still going to get abused. So either way, it doesn't really matter. Look, once again, I guess the way I look at it, if you think about it logically, we don't want to get into a situation, Mohammed, where these players are going on a free, much like Rudiger and Christensen. So we have to make some sort of money. At the end of the day, football is a business. So we've got to think about it that way as well. Yes, we get connected with players. We feel emotional about players, but it's a business. So we have to make the right business decisions as well. Now, Kante, Jorginho, I think both are above 30, I believe. Jorginho is 30. Kante, I don't know whether he's 30 or 29. Or maybe he's 30. Either way, they're in the wrong spectrum of the age. I personally think, I'll start with Kante. I personally think there is still value. I completely hear everyone, but he hasn't played enough. Thomas Tuchel recently, post-match, said that we've only had Kante for about 40% of the time, and that is detrimental to Chelsea Football Club. You need a player like Kante on a regular basis. But the fact is, he's been injured. For the past 2 seasons, he's regularly picking up those niggly injuries here and there, and they keep him away for about 3-4 weeks, and it just absolutely stops his rhythm. However, having said that, I'm okay, Mohammed, for Kante to play maybe once a week. I'm okay for that because I still think there is some proper value in having a player like Kante, robust, so dynamic in midfield. You can use him in certain scenarios when we want to counter-attack a particular team, when there is a team that seems like they want to hold on to the possession, maybe a team much like, let's say, a Man City or maybe a Liverpool. Those sort of scenarios, Kante can be very beneficial. Kante off the bench could be beneficial maybe as well. So I feel like there is a value. Now, is there a proposition maybe if a team comes in and pays, I don't know, 35-40 million pounds for Kante on his last year? Do we consider? Maybe we have to consider. We do need to start thinking about the future. I'm just a bit sort of weary about the situation that we've lost Rudiger. We've announcement for Christensen happened earlier today from Chelsea that he is departed from the club. So we're looking at Azpilicueta possibly going, Alonso going. I'm weary that you want to throw in Jorginho and Kante. Like, that's a lot of experience and leadership to go in one hit. Like, the dressing room's going to look weird next season. Who's actually going to step up and talk and whatnot? And I know a lot of people will say, well, Kante, he's not much of a talker, but it's the presence. It's the presence. So for me, keep Kante. Talking about Jorginho, I like this player a lot. I have to admit, under Frank Lampard, he wasn't the right player because Frank wasn't using him the way Jorginho needs to be used. So that's when I was advocating get Frank who he needs, because he doesn't know what to do with Jorginho, and what he's doing with Jorginho is not the right way to play Jorginho. Obviously, Thomas Tuchel comes in and he deploys Jorginho the way he wants to sort of play out from the back, the build-up, more sort of patient way of attacking. But in recent times, we've seen, Mohamed, that even Jorginho has been benched quite a lot. Now, whether that's because he's played a lot of minutes and Thomas Tuchel's worried about the mileage that Jorginho has done, much like I suppose N'Golo Kounde, similarly with Jorginho as well. But I feel like with Jorginho, there are players out there that can do his role and give us a lot more mobility and physicality as well, which sometimes he lacks in that midfield. At times, our midfield gets opened up in transition and he does get caught out. So there are players, for me personally, Basuma is someone who can do that. I've also talked about Julian Weigl from Benfica, who can possibly do that. I know we're very heavily linked with Declan Rice, and looks like it's inevitable. That's probably going to happen. I still have my concerns about his, I suppose, the build-up, the ball-playing ability from the back, and having that patience, that possession-based sort of system, how he's going to do. But then again, Thomas Tuchel likes him. So, look, with Jorginho, there are suitors for him, heavy suitors for him from Italy, Juventus being one of them, who's looking to, pay a good amount of money. And he's a particular player, Mohamed, that Italy loves and adores. Like, they love a player like Jorginho, the deep-lying playmaker, regista, as they call. I can't see how we give him another year contract extension. And I really cannot picture how Chelsea gives him 3 years, 5 years contract extension, knowing he's 30. And this is probably the right time to get some value out of Jorginho. Juventus are looking at something around 30, 35 million, 40 million euros, I believe, as per Fabrizio Romano when he tweeted a while back. So that's my stance. I would probably look to get rid of Jorginho if we are not looking to extend his contract. But I would keep Kounde. Whether he stays, that's another story. How much contract extension do you give to Kounde? Maybe another couple of more years and see what he wants to do after. And maybe he can retire at Chelsea Football Club. Who knows? That'd be great to see a legend of the club retire at Chelsea Football Club. He deserves that. Yeah. He deserves that. So, yeah, man, that's my stance on Kounde and Jorginho.
I agree with you on that. I think completely agree with every point you've said there. And the reason I kind of sparked this debate in the midfield is because we've already got so many options at the club. I'll include Ross Barkley and Ruben Loftus-Cheek in this conversation as well, even though they haven't had a lot of time on the pitch, and the time that they've had hasn't been the most productive of times. You've got two young players who are going to be coming back from loan, and Tuchel's going to have to scratch his head and say, I've got two positions that I need to fill every match. And if I keep Jorginho, Kounde, those are going to be my starters. And then you've got, Declan Rice, throw him into the mix if he signs in. You've got Billy Gilmore, Conor Gallagher as well, Ruben Loftus-Cheek. So so you've got so many options to play with. And do you keep all of them at the club, or do you say, oh wait, maybe Gilmore needs another loan, maybe Gallagher needs some more time away, and you stick with the ones that you have at the moment, or you bring them in and this is the perfect time to groom them with Kounde and Jorginho and those star players at Chelsea, those leaders at Chelsea at the moment?
Yeah, man, look, another interesting, I suppose, discussion point, isn't it? With Conor Gallagher, I don't think he needs any more loan. I think he's proven now. I think any more loan will push him away. He would want to leave Chelsea Football Club because he's had a sensational loan spell at West Brom. And even before West Brom, Charlton was a very good one at Championship. West Brom was a very good one. And then obviously Crystal Palace, he really put his marker down in the Premier League that I'm here to stay. Frank Lampard is very, very keen on Conor Gallagher to Everton, so we need to look out for what his movements are over there, even with Billy Gilmore too. I'll get to Billy Gilmore, but in regards to Conor Gallagher, man, I think he deserves to be now part of the squad. Whether he starts on a regular basis, I don't know, because competition is very, very immense at Chelsea Football Club, and it needs to be immense. We are going to be playing across many competition. The thing with Conor, all I can say is you're going to get game time. You're going to get game time. I don't know whether you're going to be a starter. That's the thing, because your biggest competition, I believe, is probably going to be Mason Mount. So and that's a good thing in my opinion, because that should drive him to really thrive for Chelsea Football Club. Mason is most likely a regular starter, and it's going to be a good challenge for Conor Gallagher to see if he can displace someone like Mason and see if he can go head to head with him. So it'd be a great challenge. I wouldn't like to see Conor Gallagher to sort of look at that scenario and go, do you know what? No, that's too much for me. I don't want to compete with Mace. He's the main dog of Chelsea Football Club. I'm just going to leave, and I'll take my shot at Everton Football Club with Frank Lampard. So with Conor, I would like him to stay, and that poses a question: what happens with Kounde and Jorginho? You can still have Conor Gallagher, Kounde, Jorginho. But players like Ross Barkley, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, I think they're in serious trouble if Conor Gallagher comes in, and they probably need to be moved on. In regards to Billy Gilmour, I feel a bit strange about this particular player, man. He burst onto the scene with so much talent, did so well for us, did very well for Scotland as well. And then Thomas Tuchel came in. He didn't see too much minutes. And then last season, obviously, he went out on a loan, and the loan really didn't work out for him. And Norwich has been poor as well. There were bits and pieces where he played well. There were bits and pieces where he was actually directly the culprit for letting in some of the goals for Norwich, because I've watched some of those games. And I'm at a situation where I've seen some reports saying that some of his internal people that know Billy Gilmour has been saying that if he goes out on another loan, he's not going to accept that. He wants to kickstart his career somewhere, and he would prefer to leave. I don't like when players do this kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Young players, I feel like, man, I know, I get it. Like, you got to think about your family. You got to think about your career and whatnot. I understand if there's money out there, you want to go and start making, you want to kickstart your career. But you're young as well. I know he's 21 or 22, something like that. Maybe
around the same age as Callum Wilson.
Yeah, maybe he's sort of thinking, well, this young persona, it's going to go, like, he's going to be 23 next season, so he's probably thinking, I need to get a move on. Do you know what I mean? But I feel like with Billy Gilmour, stay patient. You are going to probably come in now. Whether if he stays in the squad this season, does he get enough game time? I don't think so. Does Thomas Tuchel fancy him as well? I'm not really sure. Has his loan spell at Norwich given him the opportunity to start for us? I don't think so. I'm a bit worried about Billy Gilmour's situation. I would prefer him to go to another loan by a better team, someone like Brighton. I'm not really certain whether Everton's the right club for him, but if he can get regular minutes over there under Frank Lampard, maybe so. He has played well under Frank Lampard. So we'll see. Once again, I don't want to see him leave Chelsea Football Club, but I'm worried that we are looking to look outside of our academy for a Jorginho replacement, which may then push Billy Gilmour out.
I think with Gallagher, in my opinion, it's the mentality that he has, that he wants to play every game and that he wants to win every game, and along with that, compete in every competition, which is going to keep him at Chelsea. I think with Gallagher, he might agree to another loan just because he'll say, if I'm patient and I get my chance, maybe not this season, but next season, I'm going to be at a club which is going to be competing in 5 competitions every season. And with the squad that we have at the moment, and with the additions that are going to be made, we're not only just competing, but we're challenging every competition. We're not just there to participate, but we're there to, rattle it around and show the other teams what we're made of, kind of thing. And with Gilmour, you're right. I think he's ready, or he seems like he's ready to, settle down somewhere. And if it's not Chelsea, then he's ready to move on and say, all right, my time at Chelsea has been incredible, and it's finally time I go and secure a 2-year, 3-year contract somewhere else, rather than on a, 7-8 months loan, come back and then do a preseason with Chelsea and then go back again right at the start of the season. Which is going to be tricky. So a lot to think about for Tuchel in the midfield and the attacking areas, in terms of what we've already got in the squad and the targets that we're aiming for. I think in defense, there's not much of a talk in defense, because you've got Azpilicueta leaving, Christensen's gone, Rudiger's gone. The only target that we've got, Kounde. That has to that has to happen, or else we're walking into the season saying, right, walk past their goal, Mendy's there, if he saves it, he saves it. It's that kind of situation. So how key is it for Tuchel and the Chelsea board to get Kounde done as soon as possible with no fuss made, and pay whatever asking price is, because clearly it's our own fault letting Rudiger and Christensen, both two great defenders for the last 2 seasons, go on a free transfer. And how much is that going to affect us?
Yeah, man, look, it's a big loss. It is a big loss. Rudiger and Christensen have been fantastic under Thomas Tuchel. They've rejuvenated themselves under Thomas Tuchel. Rudiger to the sense where he's become world-class, in my opinion, and one of the best ones in world football in terms of defenders. Christensen as well. Obviously, this season's been a bit up and down with all the things that's been happening outside of Chelsea Football Club, sanctions, club sale, the infamous Lukaku interview. It's sort of rattled not just the fan base, but I'm pretty sure internally some of the players as well. Christensen later on in the season with calling in sick on a regular basis hasn't really helped out. But I think by then Barcelona was probably in his ears in regards to a contract extension. So you're right. It is our fault that we've left it so late. We should have been able to do that at the end of last season when the Champions League final was finished. But we didn't do it, and we've stuffed up ourselves over here. So look, we have to look forward now, and I have to agree with you. We need to get defenders in ASAP. Like, this is priority. Like, we're going to lose. We've lost a couple of defenders. We're probably going to lose Azpilicueta and Alonso as well. Kounde, I'll be very surprised if this doesn't happen in the next couple of weeks. Like, I'll be very, very surprised, because this brother has literally been in London loitering around. Apparently there's been talks that he's agreed personal terms and everything is done. It's just literally Chelsea to put a bid for Sevilla, and Sevilla on the other side as well, that they need money to balance out their books before June 30th. They were saying something around 60 million euros or 70 million, something like that. And apparently Jules Kounde is about that price range as well, 55 to 60 million euros. So look, let's get this done, get this in the bag. And then we do need to look into Koulibaly. We've been linked heavily lately with Koulibaly. We've been linked with De Ligt. We've been linked with many other defenders, Presnel, Kimpembe. We need defenders. We need one more defender, and then hopefully maybe we can give the third sort of position to Levi Colwill. Depending on how we want to play next season, with 3 at the back or 2 at the back defenders. If it's 3, we definitely need, obviously, Jules Kounde, maybe one off Koulibaly, Kimpembe or De Ligt. My preference is Koulibaly, and then also Levi Colwill, and then you've got Thiago Silva and Chalobah as well. So, yeah, man, let's get a move on. Like, it's transfer windows open. Come on, Chelsea Football Club, get these defenders in. Like, we need them badly.
Agreed. It's been 3 days and Chelsea hasn't signed. Twitter's gonna go, man. Twitter. We can expect some funny tweets on Twitter. But right before, just before we end this, and your thoughts, your quick. I'm gonna say quick thoughts, but it's Lukaku, so it's gonna have to be detailed, explanatory timeline, and everything.
There's nothing quick about
Lukaku. His behavior towards Chelsea is what I'm. I want to know your thoughts on that more than, whether Inter are going to sign him or not, this and that. Because clearly, even if he does stay at Chelsea, I don't see him getting a lot of time. He'll be warming up that bench. He'll be making sure the bottles are filled, for halftime for all of that stuff. Because the way he's acted in public with Chelsea and the disrespect that he's given the Chelsea board and Tuchel has to be completely unacceptable by the club.
Yeah, man, this guy. Where do I even start, man? This guy is delusional. He really is delusional. I don't really like to say this word out to everyone, but this guy is proper delusional, my man. Like, he keeps talking about, I don't feel important. I don't feel wanted. I feel like I'm being forced. It's all about me, I. It's always about him. What has this guy done? All the things he said prior to joining us, unfinished business. I'm mature now. I'm multidimensional. I'm multifaceted. I can be the focal guy. I can be the guy that can run behind defense. I can link up. I can do this, that, the other. It's all a lie. Like, literally, it's all a lie. Less than 6 months into his career back to Chelsea Football Club, he gets injured. Then he also has that COVID situation where he tested positive. And during that time frame, he goes out there and he does this interview unsanctioned by anyone. Like, no one's even told him that you can go out there and do this. He did it all on his own. And he absolutely demeaned, belittled Chelsea Football Club, that he never wanted to leave Inter Milan. He loves the Inter fans and he wanted to stay there. He thought the next move after Inter might have been Bayern or Real Madrid or Barcelona. He puts himself in the caliber of Ronaldo's, the Messi's, the Lewandowski's. I mean, this guy is not normal. He's not. He's floating somewhere that someone needs to tell him, brother, you need to wake up, because that's not who you are. Now, at the end of the season, do you know what? I'll be honest with you, Mohammed. I was so upset when he did that interview, right? I was so upset, and I thought, do you know what? Get out of my club. But then I slowly started to get over. I'm like, just banging the goals. I don't want to worry too much about that interview. Just score the goals for us. Just do the right thing for us. And he wasn't doing that either. But as the season went on, and then later on when he started featuring, I thought, is there a second chance? Can we just forget the first season? I mean, we came third. Let's have a very good transfer window for Thomas Tuchel, new owners coming in. And I seriously thought, let's start again with Romelu Lukaku. Do you know what I mean? Give this guy a chance. Let's play to his strengths. Let's actually, he's someone who is capable of scoring 20 plus goals. We've seen it. He's done it in the Premier League as well with Everton and West Brom. Not 20 goals, but he's banged in goals. Even for Man United, he's banged in goals, even though he hasn't been great there. I thought, let's make him the proper talisman, for next season. And then he comes again before the new season even starts, the transfer window even opens, and he starts yapping again. Agents out at Inter Milan. We're starting to hear rumors and proper talks from Di Marzio. Di Marzio, you got to, when it's Italian news, you got to respect this guy. He ain't talking crap, I'm telling you right now. And how he's saying that the agents are there, his lawyers are there, trying to figure out a way to get to Inter Milan. And it is true that he wants to do everything possible to return back to Inter Milan. Inter now interested as well to get him back. I'm fed up, man. I'm fed up. Just leave, man. Just leave. Like, here we were, some parts of the Chelsea fan base were willing to give you another chance, and you've destroyed that hope as well. So, like, it's mad, man. I'm over this guy. Like, this guy needs to go.
Would it be right? I know I'm cutting you off, but would it be right to just say towards the end of the season, that interview back in, I think it was November, December, was really right at the back of our minds, ready to forget for the next season until all of this has happened and we've realized, he's not going to change. It's either he's going to perform really well and stay silent, or if he's going to go to any club and not perform, then he's going to start this whole drama of, the system, the players, the coach, this and that scenario. Is it just a bunch of excuses? And I feel like it might just be me, but him going back to Inter isn't going to help him out either. I think he's going to go back. I think he's going to struggle. I don't want him to. As a football fan, go for it. If you're happy where you are, go for it. Do your thing. But I still feel like he's going to struggle because he was happy with Conte being the coach, and now that Conte is not there, I feel like he's going to struggle. It's a different system. It's no longer a back three with wing backs and wingers to support you and give you the ball right when you're the only striker in the team.
Look, I don't know. I think Simone Inzaghi over there in Inter, he didn't want to let go of Lukaku as well. And I think they had a bit of a good connection pre-season when they started doing the training. Look, I think he'll fit in again. I think that particular league will suit him. They will cater to his needs. Lautaro Martinez is probably sticking around. It's mad. Lautaro doesn't want to leave. Romelu Lukaku wants to go there because he wants to play with Lautaro Martinez. So I'm pretty sure they will be able to change the system a little bit to cater to Lukaku's needs. They've won the Scudetto with Lukaku over there, so I'm pretty sure they can replicate that again. For me, man, I think once the interview was done, I suppose I at that point I believed that it was probably done and dusted. But at the same time, I sort of thought in my back of my mind, maybe he'll just shut up and get on with it. But looks like it never happened, man. So yeah.
Yeah, I think some people don't learn from their mistakes, and Lukaku's one of them. Generally, we can say he's struggled in the Premier League. He hasn't really proven himself in the Premier League the way he has in the Serie A, in the Italian league. So it is going to be an interesting few weeks coming up for Chelsea, especially now the transfer window is opening. It's open. It's time we turn those interests into real talks and to bids and actually negotiating with players and teams as soon as possible. I don't want to hear any Chelsea deal happening right, at the 12 o'clock mark on right at the end of the transfer window. Miz, once again, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving your time. I know it's quite an early morning for you, so let's brush off Lukaku and hope it's a positive day for Chelsea FC. Once again, thank you for coming on, and thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time with an episode, hopefully sometime throughout this week.